Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today, we are diving deep into the world of American coinage, but not just any coin. We're looking at one of the most fascinating pieces ever to slip out of the United States Mint, the 1973 Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar. A coin that, at first glance, appears no different from the countless others still circulating in pockets and drawers across the country, but under the right circumstances, in the right condition, and with the right rarity factor, it can evolve into a treasure that collectors chase for decades. Imagine this, it's the early 1970s. Gas prices are climbing, televisions are growing larger but fuzzier, and American families gather around their wood-paneled living room sets to watch news of political scandal unfold in real time. In Washington, D.C., the nation faces uncertainty, but inside the U.S. Mint facilities, the machines keep humming and the production lines keep running. Tens of millions of quarters featuring George Washington's timeless profile are pressed into existence, ready to make their way into vending machines, toll booths, lunch lines, and savings jars. The 1973 quarter wasn't made of silver like the pre-1965 coins. Instead, by this time, the Mint was producing quarters with a copper-nickel-clad composition. To most Americans, they were nothing special, just pocket change. You could buy a stick of gum, maybe a few minutes on a payphone, or toss one into a parking meter without giving it a second thought. But as any coin collector knows, sometimes the rarest pieces come from the most ordinary times. The story gets interesting when you consider the role of mint marks. In 1973, Washington quarters were struck at 3 different facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia quarters, as usual for coins before 1980, carried no mint mark at all. Denver's coins bore the familiar D, while San Francisco's proof quarters showcased the elegant S. Each mint had its own quirks and production inconsistencies, and every so often, something slipped through that shouldn't have. For the typical person sorting through change, a 1973 quarter from any of these mints seems entirely normal. The design is the same. The size is the same. The weight is the same. But when collectors and numismatists begin to dig deeper, they find that in the world of minting, perfection is rare, and imperfections can be worth a fortune, and that brings us to the center of today's story, a particularly rare and coveted 1973 Washington quarter with an unusual mint mark characteristic. Some coins from the early 1970s are known for having mispunched marks, misplaced letters, or anomalies caused by worn dies. These errors can result in slightly crooked mint marks, doubled impressions, or tiny but significant details that set one coin apart from millions. The true magic is that many of these coins originally entered circulation anonymously, only to be discovered decades later by someone who just happened to look a little closer. Picture someone in the present day. Maybe they're sitting on their couch, sifting through an old jar of change that's been collecting dust in the back of a closet. Their fingertips brush across a quarter that feels no different from the rest. But under the glow of a lamp, they notice something about the mint mark that feels just a bit off. They grab a magnifying glass, tilt the coin, and suddenly, clarity strikes. It's not just an ordinary 1973 quarter at all. It's one of those elusive error varieties that specialists whisper about at coin shows. Collectors love these kinds of discoveries. They're like finding an autograph hidden on a painting, or uncovering a misprint on a rare comic book. A mint mark error can turn a coin from pocket change into a powerful piece of history, something unique, something irreplaceable. And while the majority of 1973 Washington quarters might only fetch a few dollars even in lovely condition, certain rare varieties break away from the pack entirely. Their value skyrockets, driven by competition among collectors who crave the thrill of owning something uncommon. Coin auctions become battlegrounds. Silver-tongued bidders try to outmaneuver each other. And when the hammer falls, the price often reflects not just the material of the coin, but the story behind it, the scarcity, the error, the obsession of collectors determined to secure a trophy for their collection. Let's not forget how condition plays a massive role. A coin that's been rattling around in circulation for 50 years will show its age, scratches, worn edges, faded details. But a coin preserved in near-perfect condition, especially with a rare mint mark feature, is something else entirely. The finer the grade, the higher the value climbs. Collectors pay close attention to the hair strands on Washington's head, the sharpness of the eagle's feathers, the lustrous shine of the fields. Even one tiny scratch can send the value tumbling, or, if avoided, send it soaring. So why would someone pay such an astronomical amount for one single quarter? Because in numismatics, rarity is king. When a coin survives through decades in exceptional condition, and when it carries an error that almost never made it past the mint's quality control, it becomes one of a kind. In a world filled with billions of coins, owning something singular feels powerful. It's the kind of item that collectors display proudly, not just for its worth, but for the story of its survival. Now imagine sitting at an auction hall. The atmosphere is electric. A room filled with experts and enthusiasts buzzes with anticipation as the auctioneer lifts a coin encased in a protective holder. The overhead lights catch its surface just right, amplifying its beauty. This is it, the rare 1973 mint mark Washington quarter that has captured the attention of collectors across the country. The bidding begins conservatively, but it doesn't stay there long. One bidder raises a paddle. Another counters. The price jumps by thousands, then tens of thousands. All eyes are glued to the stage, breaths held as the numbers escalate beyond what anyone expected. Each incremental rise sends a ripple of energy through the crowd. Cameras flash. Pencils scribble notes. And then, with one final call, the hammer lands. In that moment, something ordinary becomes extraordinary. Something as simple as a quarter, a coin that could have bought a ride on a 1970s city bus, has just shattered expectations. Story begins with a coin millions of Americans passed through their hands without a second thought. Pocket change at the grocery store. A quarter dropped into a parking meter. A coin spinning on a cafeteria table. Nobody could have guessed that a few of these everyday pieces of metal, Washington quarters minted in 1979, would, decades later, skyrocket to unbelievable levels of value. This is not just a story about a coin. It's a journey into the world of mint marks, rare conditions, collector obsessions, and the extraordinary moment when a common quarter becomes a treasure worth more than some cars, some vacations, and even some people's annual salaries. And yes, today we will reveal the exact type of 1979 Washington quarter that stunned collectors when one of them crossed an auction block for a mind-blowing price at the end of this video. But first, to truly appreciate how a 25-cent piece can climb into the world of elite money, we need to go back to the foundations of the coin itself. The Washington quarter design, introduced in 1932 to honor the bicentennial of George Washington's birth, was meant originally to be a one-year commemorative issue. But the United States Mint saw something more. The public embraced the design, and the government decided to continue the motif indefinitely. What followed was nearly a century of steady production, year after year, creating one of the most recognizable coins in American life. By 1979, the Washington quarter had already lived through wars, recessions, booms, celebrations, and countless changes to American society. But the year 1979 itself holds a special place in coin collectors' hearts. It was a moment when minting technology was shifting, quality control varied more than usual, and several intriguing varieties slipped quietly into circulation. The 1979 quarters were struck in three major locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia's version carried no mint mark, Denver's bore its signature D, and San Francisco's pieces featured the S mint mark, originally intended for proof sets. Each mint has a different story and a different set of collectors chasing after its finest, most pristine examples. But the coin that astonished everyone in the coin collecting world was a quarter from one of these mints in an unbelievable state of preservation. That is the core of today's journey. To understand why any 1979 quarter might be incredibly valuable, we first need to understand what makes a coin rare. It is not always age. It is not always scarcity of production. Sometimes it comes down to a combination of condition, strike quality, minting errors, or simply surviving in flawless form when almost all others were worn down in circulation. Millions upon millions of 1979 quarters were produced. Think of the sheer number: bags of coins shipped to banks, quarters dispensed from registers, coins dropped on sidewalks, washed in jeans pockets, jammed into vending machines, and stacked for weekend arcade visits. In such a world of rough handling, very few coins manage to survive in perfect, untouched condition. This is where the world of grading enters. Professional coin grading services evaluate coins using magnification, lighting, and years of expertise to determine a numeric score from 1 to 70. A lower number represents a well-worn coin that has lived a long life in pockets and drawers. A higher number, especially the elite status of mint state, or MS, 67, 68, or 69, signals rarity beyond rarity. The difference between an MS-65 coin and an MS-68 coin is not small. In fact, it could be the difference between a coin worth $20 and a coin worth tens of thousands. The margin is razor thin. A nearly invisible scratch, a tiny imperfection, or the faintest dullness in shine can destroy that elite classification. Now let's return to 1979. The Philadelphia Mint produced massive quantities of quarters, and while many exist today, almost all of them show signs of wear. Denver's D-Mint Mark quarters were also plentiful, though some examples are known for stronger strikes and cleaner details. Then there are the San Francisco coins, beautiful proofs with mirror-like surfaces, struck primarily for collectors, but the coin that caused collectors' hearts to stop was not simply a proof coin or an ordinary mint state example. It was a breathtakingly preserved 1979 Washington quarter of such quality, such sharpness, and such perfection that grading experts awarded it an almost impossible designation. When it arrived at auction, experts described it as one of the cleanest examples ever documented, a coin with a surface so flawless, so brilliant, that it immediately carved out a chapter of numismatic history. Imagine a quarter, minted in the late 1970s, still holding the appearance of a brand new coin. No scratches. No wear. No dullness. The luster of the metal glowing exactly as it did the moment it was struck. The eagle on the reverse with its wings sharp as carved crystal. The portrait of George Washington crisp enough to catch sunlight in its smallest grooves. This was the kind of coin collectors only dream about. The bidding began modestly, but as more collectors realized what they were seeing, the battle escalated. A rare, museum-worthy piece like this does not simply appear on the market every year, or even every decade. Phone bidders joined. Internet bidders chimed in. The energy in the room rose with every chant of the auctioneer. Coins like this represent not just monetary value, but a connection to American history. They transform from pocket change into artifacts, each one carrying a story of survival, how it escaped circulation, how it remained untouched for decades, and how it eventually surfaced as a once-in-a-lifetime find. The final bid stunned the room. The hammer fell on a number that made headlines across the coin-collecting community. For a moment, the dividing line between ordinary currency and extraordinary treasure disappeared. A 25-cent piece that once could buy a gumball suddenly became a star, but the 1979 quarter series holds other interesting stories as well. Some collectors chase after varieties such as misstruck coins, off-center strikes, double die errors, and other quirks that occurred during production. These unusual pieces escaped the mint with small mistakes that make them unique. While not every error coin is valuable, certain ones from 1979 can attract passionate bids, especially if they are dramatic or visually striking. There are also collectors who admire the proof quarters from San Francisco, with their glassy surfaces and frosted details. These coins were made with extra care, minted with mirrored fields and laser-sharp designs to appeal to numismatists who wanted beauty, precision, and craftsmanship. While most proofs are not extremely valuable, perfect or near-perfect examples can still reach impressive prices, particularly if they are certified at the highest grading levels. What makes the world of quarter collecting so fascinating is that anyone, from seasoned numismatists to everyday people checking their change at the gas station, can stumble upon something unexpectedly valuable. Even though the odds of finding a treasure in circulation are slim, the possibility is real. Stories continue to emerge of rare quarters found in old coin jars, estate sales, inherited collections, and dusty boxes forgotten in attics. So what should someone look for if they want to examine their own 1979 quarters? First, check the mint mark. P means Philadelphia. D means Denver. S indicates a proof from San Francisco. Next, examine the coin's condition. The shinier, sharper, and more pristine the surface, the more likely it has potential value. If a coin appears unusually crisp or untouched, it might be worth submitting for professional grading. Collectors also examine strike quality, how deeply the design was impressed on the metal. A coin with strong details, especially in Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers, can be more desirable. And of course, look for any signs of mint errors, doubled letters, or misaligned details, though identifying such features sometimes requires magnification and experience. But even among all these factors, the true giants of coin value are the immaculate, top-graded specimens. They stand above all others, like diamonds among pebbles, and that brings us back to the star of today's story. The 1979 Washington quarter that entered the history books did so not because it was old, not because it had a quirky mistake, and not because it was made of precious metal. It did so because it was flawless, so perfect that it captured the imagination of collectors and set a standard few other modern quarters could match. This legendary coin became a symbol of what makes the world of numismatics so thrilling. It reminds us that value is not always obvious. That rarity can come from survival. That beauty can be found in everyday objects. And that sometimes the simplest of items, something as small as a quarter, can rise to greatness. We are diving deep into the fascinating world of modern U.S. coin collecting, and specifically into a coin that has captured tremendous attention among collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike: the United States of America 1999 P 1788 mint mark quarter dollar, more commonly known as the Delaware State Quarter with a Philadelphia mint mark. This is not just a coin. It is a story. A puzzle. A hidden treasure. And in some extremely rare cases, it is a jackpot waiting to be discovered by someone who decides to look just a little closer at the change in their pocket. By the end of this video, you will understand why a coin that most Americans spent without a second thought back in 1999 is now thrilling collectors and commanding extraordinary prices in the numismatic marketplace. To begin, let's turn back the clock to the late 1990s. It was the era of dial-up internet, blockbuster video rental stores, and the beginning of the brand new United States 50-state quarters program. The year 1999 marked the start of one of the most popular coin programs in American history, which was designed to celebrate each state with its own unique reverse design. The first state honored in this series was Delaware, and the coin featured the historical figure Caesar Rodney riding on horseback, a design symbolizing his legendary overnight journey to cast a decisive vote for American independence. The excitement around these quarters was incredible. Millions of Americans began collecting them from pocket change, children rushed to fill their state quarter maps, and even non-collectors felt the thrill of searching for new designs as they appeared in everyday transactions. But amid all this enthusiasm, something else happened, something that no one expected. Certain coins from those early years of the program, including the 1999 P Delaware Quarter, began surfacing with unusual characteristics, striking errors, and exceptional mint conditions that made them far more valuable than anyone could have imagined. What makes the 1999 P Delaware Quarter so fascinating today is not just the historical design. It is the rare combinations of minting anomalies, varieties, and condition grades that cause some of these coins to soar into astonishing price levels. When the United States Mint transitions from one die to another, or when dies become overly worn, clogged, misaligned, or improperly polished, unique errors can appear on coins. These mistakes are never intentional, but once they leave the mint and enter circulation, they instantly become collectible, because no two errors are exactly alike. For collectors, scarcity equals desirability, and desirability equals value. One of the key features that collectors examine when evaluating any 1999 P Delaware Quarter is the clarity and sharpness of the design details. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of these coins, but only a small fraction survive in pristine conditions. When a coin is perfectly struck, free from scratches, bag marks, or friction from circulation, it can receive a very high grade from professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. The higher the grade, the more breathtaking the value becomes. In fact, some of the most impressive prices ever recorded for this coin come from pieces that achieve near-perfect grades, technically classified as mint state or specimen quality. But condition is only one part of the story. What truly sets certain 1999p Delaware quarters apart from the rest are their mint errors. Among the rarest and most coveted are dramatic strike-throughs, off-center strikes, double strikes, broad strikes, and die clash errors. Each of these variations tells a different story about what happened inside the mint that day. For example, a die clash occurs when the obverse and reverse dies press against each other without a coin in between, leaving ghost-like impressions on the next coins they strike. These eerie shadows add a layer of mystery and uniqueness that collectors adore. Meanwhile, off-center strikes create coins where part of the design is visibly shifted, producing an eye-catching and unmistakable error that is instantly recognizable to even a casual observer. Then there are the coins that appear almost magnetically perfect at first glance, but with microscopic anomalies under high magnification that reveal unexpected quirks in the minting process. Coins like these demonstrate why careful inspection, patience, and a good magnifying lens can turn an ordinary afternoon into an extraordinary discovery. People all around the world have found valuable coins simply by paying attention, and this 1999 quarter is one of the best examples of a modern coin that has paid huge returns for those lucky enough to stumble upon a rarity. Now, let's talk about the moment that truly stunned the collecting community, when a remarkable 1999p Delaware quarter appeared at auction and shattered expectations with an eye-opening price that few believed possible. While most circulated examples of this coin are worth face value, and lightly circulated pieces may sell for a few dollars, an extreme outlier in pristine, nearly flawless condition commanded a staggering sum. This was not just a matter of rarity, it was a combination of extraordinary preservation, exceptional strike, and collector demand all converging in a single moment. The sale of that coin sent ripples through the collecting world. People who had once ignored small change in their pockets began reconsidering what hidden treasures might be lying in old drawers, coin jars, or forgotten collections passed down from parents and grandparents. The possibility that a simple quarter, something most people treat as loose pocket money, could sell for tens of thousands of dollars sparked renewed interest in coin hunting. Social media posts, news articles, and collector forums exploded with discussions about the Delaware State Quarter, mint errors, and the thrill of the hunt. But beyond the headlines and excitement, the real heart of this story lies in what coin collecting represents: the idea that history, art, craftsmanship, and chance can come together in a single tiny object. When you hold a coin from 1999, you are touching a small piece of time. You are holding something that has traveled from hand to hand, through stores, pockets, cities, and perhaps even decades of quiet rest in a jewelry box or a desk drawer. Coins are survivors. They tell stories not only of the minting processes that created them but of the people who carried them. This is why collectors often say that coin collecting is not just a hobby, it is a way of preserving history. Every variety, every error, every beautifully struck coin teaches us something about the technology, artistry, and even the occasional imperfections of the United States Mint. And for the 1999p Delaware Quarter, its story is especially remarkable because it launched the modern revival of coin collecting enthusiasm in America. So, what should you look for if you want to search for your own potentially valuable 1999p Delaware Quarter? First, check the mint mark. These coins should display a P, indicating the Philadelphia Mint. Next, examine the overall surface condition. Is the coin exceptionally clean? Does it show full detail in Caesar Rodney's horse, rider, and surrounding lettering? Are there any unusual patterns, doubling effects, or distortions in the metal? Even small details can make a big difference. If you believe you have a candidate for high value, the next step is professional grading. Grading services use strict standards to assign numerical values from 1 to 70, with the highest grades earning the most impressive prices. Many collectors will only invest in graded examples, especially when dealing with high-value rarities, because grading ensures authenticity, quality, and long-term preservation. And this brings us to the most exciting moment of all, the astonishing price achieved by the most exceptional 1999p Delaware Quarter ever recorded. This coin, preserved in extraordinary condition and displaying flawless characteristics, commanded an eye-popping value at auction. It proved that even modern coins, which many assume are too recent to be valuable, can reach record-breaking heights when the right combination of rarity and perfection comes together. We're diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern-day United States coin discoveries, the 2017 D Mint Mark quarter dollar. Yes, this seemingly ordinary piece of pocket change has surprised collectors all over the world with shocking errors, rare die varieties, and market values that nobody expected a modern quarter to reach. If you've ever wondered how a 25-cent coin could turn into a treasure worth thousands, stay with me, because this story is packed with mystery, history, minting secrets, and the thrill of discovering something valuable hiding in plain sight. Before we begin, grab your coin jars, your pocket change, your old collection albums, because after hearing what I'm about to tell you, you're going to want to check every single quarter you own. The story of the 2017 quarter, the moment everything changed. The year 2017 was a busy one for the U.S. Mint. It produced several America the Beautiful quarters, each representing a unique national park or historic site. Among these, the Denver minted coins, identified by their D Mint mark, became especially intriguing to collectors because of a handful of unexpected minting inconsistencies. The U.S. Mint is known for its precision, but when millions of coins are produced every day at lightning speed, errors can slip through. These mistakes, known as mint errors, are like hidden gems. They're tiny anomalies that turn a common coin into a prized collectible, and in 2017, lightning struck. Multiple types of errors appeared on deminted quarters, and although the majority were minor, a few were extraordinary, so extraordinary that they pushed certain coins into a price category no one imagined. Why collectors suddenly became obsessed with the 2017 D quarter. Collectors generally chase older coins, silver dollars, gold coins, early American cents, but modern coins, they don't usually grab headlines. That changed dramatically when experts uncovered a rare combination of striking flaws on a small batch of these 2017 D quarters. The reasons behind the obsession are fascinating. Unexpected mint errors. These weren't typical small die cracks or weak strikes. Some showcased dramatic doubling, highly visible cuts, extreme misalignments, and fascinating overlay errors that made them stand out instantly. Low public awareness. Unlike classic varieties known for decades, the 2017 D quarters' rare errors weren't widely recognized at first. That means many of them may still sit unnoticed in bank rolls, cash drawers, and household change piles. Modern rarity. The coin isn't old, but rarity is not always about age. It's about how many examples survive in top condition. And because most people spent these quarters immediately, the finest examples with severe mint errors are incredibly scarce. Auction shockwaves. When the first few exceptional specimens hit auctions, collectors went wild. Prices soared beyond expectations, creating instant buzz in the numismatic world. Understanding the mint errors, the heart of its value. Now, let's break down the types of rare errors that can transform a 2017 D quarter into something truly valuable. Dramatic die breaks, cuts. A cut occurs when a portion of the die breaks off, leaving a raised blob or malformed area on the coin surface. In 2017, some quarters showed bold, unmistakable cuts that collectors absolutely love because they are visually stunning and undeniably rare. Double die errors. This is where parts of the design appear doubled, letters, numbers, outlines, creating eye-catching distortions. Only a few strong examples of doubling on these quarters have been documented, making them highly desirable. Off-center strikes. These errors happen when the coin blank is misaligned during the striking process. The more dramatic the misalignment, the rarer and more valuable the coin. A handful of 2017 D quarters show extreme off-center details rarely seen on modern quarters. Strike-through errors. Sometimes foreign materials like grease or metal fragments interfere with the minting process. When that happens, the design appears distorted or partially missing. These unique, frozen moments of the minting process turn any coin into a collector's curiosity. High-grade condition. Rarity. Even a normal 2017 D quarter, if flawless, can attract value. Coins graded MS-67 or MS-68 become incredibly rare because most circulated immediately and picked up scratches and wear. But among all these categories, one specific type of coin stands above the rest, one with a dramatic and unmistakable mint error that shocked the collecting market, the discovery that changed the coin's legacy. One extraordinary 2017 D quarter, featuring a severe and visually stunning error, broke expectations when it surfaced at auction. Collectors couldn't believe their eyes. This wasn't a tiny imperfection but a bold, unmistakable minting flaw that transformed a common coin into a rare masterpiece. Only a tiny number of such examples are known to exist, and because of their rarity, they became the highlight of coin shows, auction catalogs, and online collector forums. As word spread, everyone began searching their change for similar errors. Coin roll hunting videos exploded in popularity. Collectors revisited their boxes and albums. Suddenly, the 2017 D quarter became one of the most talked about modern error coins in circulation. How to identify a potentially valuable 2017 D quarter? If you're at home thinking, I might have one of these, here's what you should look for. Check for dramatic raised blobs of metal near the rim or inside the design. This could be a cud. Look closely at the lettering. Liberty, Indiana. God we trust. The date, United States of America. If any appear doubled or distorted, that may be a double die. Look at the overall positioning of the design. If it's noticeably shifted or off-center, that's a rare strike misalignment. Look for missing details, like faded areas or unusual blanks, caused by strike-through errors. Examine the coin's condition. Sharp details, clean surfaces, and little to nowhere increase value dramatically. And remember, even though millions of 2017 D quarters were produced, only a tiny fraction contained dramatic errors worth serious money. Why modern error coins are becoming more valuable? Unlike classic old coins whose value mostly comes from age and metal content, modern error coins reflect a new era of collecting. Here's why they're gaining momentum. They tell a story. Each error is a unique snapshot of a mechanical glitch inside the mint. They're visually impressive. Many errors can be spotted with the naked eye, making them exciting finds for beginners. They're extremely scarce. While old coins exist in large numbers due to decades of hoarding, dramatic modern errors are often produced in tiny quantities. They spark curiosity. The idea that a rare coin could be hiding in everyday change keeps collectors engaged and searching, and the 2017 D quarter is a prime example of this new collecting trend. The market reaction. When a quarter surpasses expectations. As serious collectors evaluated these 2017 D era quarters, their prices steadily climbed. What started as mild curiosity turned into a competitive chase that drove bidding wars in private sales, online auctions, and major numismatic events. One specimen in particular captured the spotlight. It was the most dramatic of all known errors, preserved in exceptional condition, and authenticated by one of the top grading companies. When it crossed the auction block, it reached a price so stunning that it forever cemented the reputation of this modern quarter. Today's video begins with a simple question. What if one of the most ordinary-looking coins in your pocket, one that countless people spend without a second thought, could actually be worth a staggering amount of money? Because the truth is, that's exactly what has happened with certain United States of America 2020 D mint mark $quarter coins. And while millions of these coins were made for everyday use, a small number of them carry unique characteristics that have pushed collectors into a frenzy. Some of these pieces now command tremendous prices at auctions and private sales, often shocking anyone who never imagined a quarter could be valuable at all. As we begin this journey, imagine yourself flipping through spare change after buying a snack, or emptying your pockets at the end of a long day, letting a handful of coins clatter onto the nightstand. Among them could be a 2020 Washington quarter from the Denver Mint, simple, unassuming, and weighed down by nothing more than the expectation of buying 25 cents worth of goods. But hidden beneath the ordinary look of this familiar coin is a world of details, rare varieties, and numismatic secrets that have transformed some of these quarters into miniature treasures. Let's walk back to the year 2020. It was a year that reshaped the world, a year marked by global uncertainty, change, and unprecedented events. Yet, quietly, the United States Mint continued its work of producing coins for everyday commerce. Among those coins was the America the Beautiful Quarter series, a long-running program celebrating national parks and historic landmarks throughout the country. The 2020 lineup included designs honoring places such as the National Park of American Samoa, the Weir Farm National Historic Site, the Salt River Bay National Historical Park, Marsh Billings Rockefeller National Historical Park, and the Tallgrass Prairie National Preserve. And every one of these designs was struck at the Denver Mint, bearing the small but important letter D. For the average person, these are just attractive quarter designs, neat, maybe even beautifully artistic, but nothing more. But for coin collectors, the Denver Mint's 2020 quarters became something far more intriguing. Because within the enormous number of coins released that year, a fraction of them were struck with subtle defects, dramatic errors, unusually crisp details, or uncirculated finishes that set them apart from the rest. Error coins, high-grade coins, and varieties are the heart of modern coin collecting. And the 2020 D-Mint Mark quarter has produced some of the most sought-after examples in recent years. One of the fascinating elements that elevates the value of any coin is scarcity. Not just scarcity in mintage, but scarcity of quality, those rare specimens that survive in pristine, untouched condition. Modern coins circulate quickly, they bounce around in cash registers, fall between car seats, scrape against keys and wallets, and endure all kinds of rough handling. So finding a quarter minted in 2020 that still looks like it just left the press, with razor-sharp details, gleaming luster, and no signs of wear, is much harder than one might think. When such a coin is discovered, authenticated, and graded at the highest levels by professional grading companies, its value can skyrocket. And then there are the error coins, the unexpected marvels that escape the minting process with striking anomalies. Some errors occur when the metal planchet is misaligned, causing the design to be stamped off-center. Others happen when there's a doubled image on the coin due to a die shifting slightly during the strike. Some errors even lead to missing details, unusual textures, or dramatic visual distortions. Instead of being considered defective or worthless, these quirky creations actually become more valuable, precisely because they are rare, unintentional, and virtually impossible to reproduce. Collectors love them. They chase them. They bid on them fiercely, and the 2020 D quarters have produced some truly exceptional examples. Imagine holding a quarter that seems perfectly normal at first glance, but then you notice something strange, a doubling in the letters, a slightly misaligned strike, or an unexpected raised line across the field of the coin. Suddenly, that coin transforms from pocket change into a potential showpiece of a collection. Its story, the tale of how a tiny mistake at the mint escaped into the world, makes it all the more fascinating. Another factor that drives up value is what collectors call eye appeal. A coin might technically have the same grade as another, but its luster, brightness, toning, and overall appearance can push its desirability to new heights. Some 2020 D quarters have shown extraordinary natural toning, brilliant blends of gold, violet, turquoise, or amber, formed over time through chemical reactions with the environment. These naturally toned coins can be breathtaking, resembling miniature works of art. When such a coin is combined with pristine condition and rarity, the price can soar, and soar. Indeed, some have. Throughout recent years, collectors and investors have paid close attention to modern error coins and high-grade specimens. The market for such coins has grown steadily as more people discover the surprising potential of small-denomination coins. The thrill of finding value in something so ordinary has fueled an entire wave of YouTubers, hobbyists, and treasure hunters sharing their discoveries, searching through rolls of coins from banks or checking pocket change with a magnifying glass. Among all the 2020 D quarters, the ones that achieve the highest values tend to be those graded in the absolute top condition, coins that look nearly flawless even under magnification. These coins often get snapped up by serious collectors the moment they appear at auction. And when unusual varieties or dramatic mint errors enter the market, bidding wars erupt. The excitement is electrifying, because everyone knows that the combination of rarity, demand, and impeccable quality can lead to extraordinary prices. One specific example has captured the attention of collectors, inspiring many to dig through their stash of 2020 D quarters in hopes of discovering a similar treasure. The coin in question earned its value through immaculate condition, razor-sharp detail, and exceptional visual quality, so impressive, in fact, that it set a new benchmark for what modern quarters could achieve on the numismatic market. When this coin appeared at auction, it exceeded all expectations and stunned even seasoned collectors. This is the moment when ordinary turns into extraordinary. This is the moment when the value of a modern quarter reaches the level that most people would never dream possible. And as we reach the conclusion of this story, the camera zooms back in on that single shining quarter, the kind anyone might overlook, spend, or ignore without hesitation. But now, the viewer knows the truth, that hidden potential lies in even the smallest, simplest pieces of currency. A 2020 D mint mark $quarter coin, when struck perfectly, preserved flawlessly, or blessed with a rare and spectacular error, can become a valuable numismatic treasure. Then, as the screen fades slightly and the coin turns to reveal its gleaming surfaces one last time, the narrator delivers the final line, the remarkable price that such a rare 2020 D quarter has achieved.